Good evening. We're going to call tonight's meeting, the City Commission, to order. Will you please join me in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, I've got is it on? Okay. Got a proclamation this evening. If Jared and Ashley want to come forward and stand over here beside me. This is a special occasion this evening. Got world champions in our presence. I'm going to go ahead and read proclamation. Office of the Mayor, City of Pittsburg, Kansas. Proclamation, whereas the 2017 Special Olympics World Winter Games were held from March 14th through March 25th in Austria. And whereas Special Olympic Games allow athletes to see themselves for their abilities, not their disabilities. And whereas the Pittsburgh New Hope Bulldogs were represented at the Special Olympic World Winter Games by athletes Jared Leatherman and Ashley Spriggs. And whereas Jared Leatherman participated in snowshoe races, earning 8th place in 100 meters, 6th place in the 200 meters, and 3rd place in the 4x100 meters. And whereas Ashley Spriggs also participated in snowshoe races, earning 2nd place in the 100 meters, 3rd place in the 200 meters, and 3rd place in the 4x100 meters. Now, therefore, I, Michael Gray, Mayor of the City of Pittsburg, Kansas, do hereby proclaim today, Tuesday, April 25th, 2017, as Jared Leatherman and Ashley Spriggs Day in Pittsburgh, and call upon all citizens to congratulate Jared and Ashley on their many accomplishments and wish them continued success.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great job, guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jared and Ashley, for coming this evening. Very special. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to next item, which is public input. I know I have at least one item. Is there anybody that would like to speak in public input on any matter? All right, looks like you guys are up.
Mayor and Commissioners, I'll just take a brief moment of your time. As you may know, we have a unique program partnership in the police department that's grant funded and also city matching dollars with a partnership with the Family Resource Center. I'd like to introduce Charlene Workman and Katie Douglas. They actually work in the police department, but they're civilian employees and they're family response advocates, child response advocates. And basically this program was designed to try to support families and support children before we had to remove children from their home. And so Katie and Charlene have been working with this program. They actually have seen over 350 families in our community, and they've supported over 700 children in the 2 years that we've been running this program. Last week, we were honored by the Kansas Children's Cabinet and Trust Fund, which is our grant funding arm. They recognized 3 programs in the state of Kansas. 2 were housing programs. In our program, we were awarded the Innovative Partner Award for what we're doing in support of children in the state of Kansas. Obviously, without Katie and Charlene and their dedication, our program wouldn't go anywhere. So just wanted to bring this award to your attention, to the community's attention, and let you know the good works that these 2 ladies do every day helping children in our community.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Thank you very much. Thanks for bringing it forward. All right, we'll move on to anything else before I close public input. Is there any other public input? All right, let's go ahead and move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda? Nope.
I'll
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Roll call vote.
Gray,
Aye.
Johnson,
aye,
Ketterman,
Aye.
Munsell,
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Next item, special presentation, Economic Development Quarterly Report. Director of Economic Development Blake Vincent and Pittsburg State University Director of Government and Community Relations Sean Nacarado will present the quarterly economic development report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the commission. As you're aware, earlier this year, the city of Pittsburgh tweaked its approach to economic development a bit. It's, in your words, at the Block 22 groundbreaking earlier today, it's been a team approach for at least the last 4 years or so on a contract basis between the city of Pittsburgh and the Pittsburgh Area Chamber. Very glad this year to add an all-star team to the economic development team in the Pittsburgh State Center for Innovation and Business Development team, Sean Nacarado and Sydney Anselmi and their team. And as you all know, we work on a daily basis with the city manager and city department heads to advance economic development in our community. And you set out for both of our entities very specific contracts and scopes of work that we're each to be working on. We each have our different areas that we focus on, but obviously we're working each and every day together to move the business community and the economic development of our community forward. So as part of the agreement, we will come to you on a quarterly basis and bring you up to speed not only on what each of our entities have been working on, but just general economic development news that maybe you know, maybe you don't, but certainly the folks at home, it'll be a good refresher in terms of economic development for what's going on in our community. So Sean, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Not much to add except for, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, just that we're very pleased to be a part of this. I'll say after the first full quarter of us working together on this, I think that this approach that we're taking, this unique team-based approach with the university, the city, the chamber, has been a success. I think we're going to continue to see fruit from this, and I think tonight we're going to give you a few highlights of what's happened over the first quarter, but I know that on a weekly basis you're getting more detailed reports, but tonight we're going to call out some of the highlights of that.
Okay. So first of all, a project that I don't know that either one of our entities can claim credit for because the city of Pittsburgh has been obviously more involved in it than everybody else from a leadership standpoint. But in terms of economic development, it's hard to give an update without mentioning the Kansas Crossing opening that happened just a few weeks ago. That's an $80 million project. You didn't hear quite as much about the Hampton Inn, but it's a 123 Hampton Inn that is also open now. That's easily our largest hotel in Pittsburgh. To kind of give you a size comparison, the Holiday Inn Express, which is was one of our biggest hotels, that's 73 rooms, I believe. So for this to be 123 rooms shows you how big that hotel is. But I know that B.J. Harris at the Convention and Visitors Bureau is already working with the casino owners and the Hampton Inn representatives to get events out there. Hampton wouldn't necessarily let anybody book reservations until they actually had it open, which is a good idea, but now people are actually staying. And I believe Cameron mentioned earlier today that basically final approvals and inspections for the hotel are occurring as we speak, so obviously very glad to have that project open.
The opening of hotels such as, or the 123 rooms such as the Hampton will have are going to be supportive of events such as what I'm going to talk about next, which is the Global Manufacturing Summit. Global Manufacturing Summit was hosted in conjunction with the Kansas Department of Commerce, April 5th to the 7th. We had 220 participants, attendees at this summit. Those attendees were not only from the United States and not only Kansas, but also Indiana. We had folks from Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, New York, China, Italy, and Brazil. Secretary Suave from the Department of Commerce and all the Commerce staff seemed very pleased. We had some great presentations. CEO of Garmin, the founder and president of Cerner, Governor Brownback, as well as the Consul General of China came to speak. This all was held in the Bicknell Center. One of the things that we were most pleased about was we had the opportunity to take these C-level manufacturers, folks from these manufacturers, and tour them through the Kansas Technology Center. 150 of them went through the Kansas Technology Center to see what is under that roof. Was pretty significant. Approximately 50 people stayed over through Friday to go through the Kansas Polymer Research Center. We had about 33 students who had an opportunity to interact and were involved. We're already talking about this in terms of having a second So next year, the Commerce right now is talking about this being an annual event, this being the manufacturing summit for Kansas, and it being focused on a global stage. So it's a great way for us to highlight not only Pittsburg State University, but Pittsburg, Kansas, and I think it was a tremendous success.
Kind of going back to a hotel theme, there is another hotel project ongoing. I know that you all get plenty of questions about the La Quinta HUE. It's obviously a big project, and that's what I tell people when they ask, okay, you know, why is it moving a little slower than we thought? Well, it is an $8 million project, and those projects don't just happen overnight. But they are making some pretty significant progress on that now. They do have the signage up. They are shooting for an early summer completion of that. They're almost to the point where they'll be able to start working on the inside. You'll recall that the city committed $100,000 to this project, and 88 of that was to be used on utility work, and 12,000 was to be used on sidewalk work. We received word from the developer about 2 weeks ago that they're close to completing the utility work, and they'll be requesting those funds. So that's a good sign that this project is continuing to move forward and looking for an early to probably midsummer opening for the La Quinta.
At the end of March, we were pleased to host about a dozen executives from Honeywell Corporation in Kansas City. I know many of you are familiar with Honeywell, I'm sure. We have been doing some work with Honeywell over the past couple of years. This was an opportunity for us to do a formal signing of an MOU with Honeywell that will help facilitate additional projects. And in fact, we right now are in the midst of inking a follow-on deal with Honeywell that's going to bring additional funds to the research center, and hopefully eventually will result in having maybe some embedded engineer or more than one engineers here, but just increasing that possibility and also increasing the likelihood of us building out the research and development park with a partner such as Honeywell for R&D.
Eagle Picture Technologies, this is a project we brought you a couple of months ago. As I mentioned when we presented that, Eagle Picture has created 47 jobs at the Pittsburgh plant since May, but thanks to the incentive package that you approved, they will now be able to proceed with a $3 million expansion that will add another 15 jobs at an average of $18 an hour. Just received word from the company today that they would like to do a ceremonial groundbreaking a week from today at 2 o'clock to mark that occasion. So obviously we would love to have all of you join us for that, but great to see Eagle Picture continue to grow its Pittsburgh facility.
And speaking of ceremonial groundbreakings, I was pleased to see all those who were able to come out today. I feel like it was a great event, Block 22 groundbreaking. We joked that it really wasn't a groundbreaking because the ground was broken in 1896. But this is a revitalization effort that we're so pleased with the city's involvement in this, and the city's been such a great partner to helping us make this a reality. The project closed on March 17th. Restoration efforts began on March 20th. We're looking at probably another month to 6 weeks of demo before they move into some of the more restoration sides of it. This morning at our groundbreaking, there were approximately 150 attendees. Felt like it was a great event. There seems to be some great buzz and increased interest in this. And Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you for your comments there. And we're just very excited about this, and we think that that buzz within the community hopefully is going to continue to be positive for that revitalization.
Absolutely. Great project. Kendall Packaging, this is a project we brought you last fall. Kendall Packaging, based in Wisconsin, and this is the largest project that they have ever invested in any of their facilities across the country, and they chose to do it here in Pittsburgh. It's a nearly $9 million expansion. It's nearing completion to the point where today we scheduled an opportunity, the second commission meeting in May. Beforehand, Kendall Packaging would like to invite you out to see the facility before it opens to the public. That week, they are scheduled to move their furniture in. Over the summer, they'll move the equipment in, and they'll be up and running by August of this year. But obviously, another very good project for the community.
One of the primary focus areas within our scope of work under our contract is focused on startup and entrepreneurship activities. We've been working, I know many of you have seen our innovation pipeline, conceptual pipeline. We've been trying to identify what software and other kinds of structures could support startup activity. There's not a lot out there for that. Thankfully, due to our partnership with Pittsco right here in town, they introduced us to a startup group out of Silicon Valley called Startup Genius. And Startup Genius came to us like I said, because of Pittsco's relationship with them. And they're producing an app that can help support startup activities. So taking things from your initial idea to helping you to have a business development model that pairs that to help move it along. In addition to our students they've invited us to come on as one of the initial consulting customers. We've signed an agreement with them. They're going to help to work with us that this can be integrated within Pittsburg State University curriculum, but also can be accessible to the community through memberships to the Foundry once the Block 22 is up and running. And finally, we're going to be exploring ways that we can start pushing this down in the K through 12 segment, and that could be with work with Pittsco, so that we can be getting our sixth graders and up to be thinking about the fact that it's possible for them to think about the ideas that they have and take them to business realities eventually. And so this is a very exciting thing. Startup Genius, the founder came down, they gave out $10,000 in grants to PSU students as well as some students from Frontenac, and we were excited to host that, and I think this could be a great partnership with them to help us support a structure around startup activity.
Just 2 weeks ago, before you was a project that will expand NPC International's Pittsburgh corporate facilities. This is a $500,000 expansion that will add 15 new jobs, add parking. It'll add 60 new parking spots. And as I mentioned when I brought this to you a couple of weeks ago, I went out to take a picture of the building and didn't get that good of a picture of the building, but I couldn't find any place to park. So I finally just had to stop in the middle of the parking lot and stand in the bed of my truck and take this picture. But it kind of illustrates how jammed in they are and how difficult it would be to add even more jobs without that additional parking. But I know NPC is very appreciative of the city's help, and they're already proceeding with this expansion.
Continuing on the theme of startup and entrepreneurship activity, 2 weeks ago we had the opportunity to award $60,000 in startup award grants to 6 local businesses. Again, this is that sort of sense of how do we find ways to enable people who have ideas to make those ideas a reality and take them to commercialization. This was made possible through a cooperation and partnership with the Kansas Department of Commerce. We were able to give 6 $10,000 awards. 2 of those businesses are student-based businesses. 1 of them is a faculty-based businesses, and 3 are community-based businesses. 5 of those 6 businesses are in Pittsburg, Kansas. The 6th is not very far. They're in McCune. But this is a great example of the kind of things that can help spur additional ideas. Since we had this award ceremony, I've had a number of people come up and say, hey, how can I apply for that next award? Here's my idea. And we're able to say, hey, don't wait for that next award. Come on in. Let's talk about your idea now and see if there's a way that we can help you make it a reality even without this award. There may be other ways that we can help do that. And so we had 32 applicants for those 6 grants. What it proved to me is what we've all believed is that there's a lot of ideas in Pittsburg, Kansas. There's lots of ideas throughout this whole community. We need to be helping to spur and give people an opportunity to think their ideas are worth something.
Retail project I know the community is very excited about. Tractor Supply is nearing completion. Their manager was in a couple of weeks ago, and it looks like they have a soft opening scheduled for June the 8th. That will completely reshape that lot there right across from the Supercenter. And we feel like it will really help stem some of the retail leakage we have to Joplin. A number of those in the farming community that are based here have been going to the Tractor Supply in Fort Scott and Joplin, and I feel like with them being able to stay here that we'll see a large benefit in terms of keeping some of our local shoppers here. Okay. Also, Via Christi and Mercy Health System, you'll recall last fall, they broke ground on a primary care clinic. This is roughly a $2.5 million joint effort between Via Christi and Mercy. New estimated completion date is the end of October of this year. This is just east of the Via Christi campus, between Via Christi and the railroad track there. But obviously continuing to grow that medical hub is something that we're always interested in, and Via Christi and Mercy both doing that. One last thing I'll mention before we get into to some smaller details. Economic gardening is a program that's been very effective for some of our local businesses. In a nutshell, what economic gardening is it's designed for second stage businesses, so those businesses that are past the startup phase but haven't quite matured yet. And a lot of times when a business gets to that point, it's scary and it's difficult to take that next step and to know how to do that. but through a partnership between the City of Pittsburgh and the Kansas Department of Commerce, our local businesses can go through this program, and they receive 40 hours of business counseling from Network Kansas and Economic Gardening counselors to kind of help them vet their ideas, answer some of the questions that they may have as they look to grow to that next stage. But we held an informational meeting at City Hall on March 30th, had 4 businesses that came out, and I know at least one of them plans to proceed through the Economic Gardening Program and is very appreciative of the city for making that possible.
I think economic gardening is a great example of one of those programs wherein our teamwork approach is going to we could work together. I think that we can work together to help grow existing businesses in addition to the starting up of new businesses. A couple of things that I wanted to just highlight. Again, I know that you've seen a lot of these things as we've been giving our weekly reports, but a few additional first quarter items. One is that our team has met with alumni and constituent relations to talk about getting a survey created and getting that out to look at what our alumni, what it would take for what interest would our alumni have in coming back, what it would take to get them back, what sorts of jobs, what sorts of housing. We're working on that right now. We're still in progress on an inventory supply chain list for the city and the region. Entrepreneurship engagement plan is complete, and we're looking for a rollout over the summer. CTEC engagement plan, we've been working with Blake and as well as a number of entities within Pittsburg State University to work with CTEC on how we might be able to better work together to offer joint programming and help support the workforce training needs. Technology transfer programs being developed in KPRC. One of the changes that's occurred recently is we've had some reorganization within the institution is that Daryl Pulliam has moved out of CIBD and is now the director for the Kansas Palmer Research Center. That actually is a great linkage for us because the Kansas Palmer Research Center is sort of the tip of the spear with regard to technology transfer, so that's what we're really going to be focusing on there. The last non-bolded bullet point there I want to point out and put a lot of emphasis on. We're working very hard on a STAR bond application. We think that we've been working with Secretary Suave as well as the Kansas Department of Commerce staff. We think there's some real opportunity potential for us to have a STAR bond district in Pittsburgh, and so we need to be working on that. It's something, Mr. Mayor, I know that we're going to be talking about the possibility of how that links with the rec build-out. We believe this really could be a youth sports mecca for this in this region of the country and could really help drive economic development, and I think a STAR bond could be a great connection there. Last 2 things that I'll just point out. One is in the last quarter we've had 58 startup and new business consulting sessions, and then also from the CIBD standpoint 35 existing business counseling sessions. That's just to give you a little bit of update on the metrics.
And some items there that we're responsible for. I think it's important for the public to know that particularly with projects that are forgivable loans or whatever the case may be, the city gives an incentive package based on certain job creation or wage creation. We hold those businesses to that. And we brought you 2 existing forgivable loans that were approved in the past but had annual benchmarks that they were to hit. And we verified that the company makes those. The EDAC looks over those and makes a recommendation to you all to grant another year of forgiveness. So we brought 2 of those to you this year. 4 existing property tax exemptions. 2 of those were existing exemptions for Miller's, and then we've now added another one. So Miller's has 3 running concurrently, Progressive Products and Penamani Physical Therapy. And then obviously making sure that our existing businesses, we uncover every opportunity to expand or retain those businesses. So we have a very robust business retention and expansion program. Those are the companies that we have visited so far in the first quarter. And often the projects that we bring you for expansion start in conversations like that. Maybe the business says we have an opportunity to bring a line in from this or whatever the case is. So that regular communication is very important to our existing businesses. And kind of a new direction that was added to our contract, and I agree with it wholeheartedly, is doing anything the city can to address the issue of blight. And if there are property owners that maybe need a little help in addressing a blighted building or a dilapidated building, or just getting it into use. We've contacted 9 of those owners so far this year. I feel like we'll be bringing a couple of those projects to you in the very near future. And then there's a program called the Red Tire Program that matches retiring business owners with aspiring business owners, and it's something that we want to explore a little bit more of. We had nominated Candy Connection here in town. That didn't work out, but we're constantly looking for other businesses that would be good candidates for the Red Tire program. But those were other items that were included in our scope of work for this year. John and I have never talked that fast in our lives.
No, that
So,
was
with that,
truncated version.
happy to answer any questions you may have.
I don't have any question, but I think all of this that you've brought to us today exemplifies what you talked about at the nail driving session this afternoon, and that is partnership. And every one of these things that you brought to us practically is a group effort, a partnership that's developed that brings these things to fruition.
Yes, I don't have any questions about the information. Appreciate the update. Continue the good work, and please keep us posted on new developments through your weekly reports. Those are good to always see. Anything else?
I just appreciate all the information, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You
Good job, guys.
go rest now.
Next time, let us have a little time for practice that nail driving. And pre-drill those holes a little bit better. Non-agenda reports and requests. Anything?
No, Mayor, the only thing, I do want to follow up on the report, if it's okay, the economic development report.
Sure.
We get folks, today's been a day of, talking about how much the city works with the university and the city commission and the other entities. I think it's important to note that I was asked several times today, well, how's everything going on? What's everything going on? You know, you guys are doing so much. If you look at the report, I was trying to write down the highlights. It's really our business community just gets it, you know? I mean, we're not, these guys get a lot of credit in their teams because they're there, they pick up the phone. I know the city is, but you know, at some point, I want to make it very clear that the businesses that we have in this community are growing because they have chosen to grow. We can't make them grow. We can help them with their growth, and we can help them expand and identify new customers. But I think we need to maybe end this meeting on that thought that we live in a community that's in a struggling state economy, possibly in a struggling, you know, national economy. And Pittsburgh's businesses are setting the bar pretty high. We're attracting new companies because they like the businesses that are here, and they like the kind of jobs that those businesses create. So just want to make sure that note, because I know without the commitment from those private dollars, you know, we'd all be sitting around trying to find stuff to keep us. Not the case right now. We are extremely busy, and appreciate all they're doing for us.
Sure, absolutely.
Definitely.
Anything else? Nothing else?
That's it.
All right, well, I think we're tabling the executive session until Henry can participate with us in that. So that's going to be removed from this one and postponed until the next meeting. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
I'll second. It's been moved and seconded. All votes in favor? Aye. Against? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you. Thanks, Jerry.